Here I am again, finally, with part three of the backpacking series we can call Prepare or Else. First, we did part one focusing on the importance of getting in shape. I reviewed the trips that I'll be doing during August this summer. One to Crow Basin, another to Crater Lake, then on to Reconnaissance Triangle Mountains, and last, hot on the trail of the tie hackers up Middle Fork of Black's Fork. Then I did part two dealing with overcoming obstacles with nutrition and supplements, at the end of which I mentioned a new obstacle and I explained this on my website. But this is going to be the last thing I do for a while, because I'm going in for surgery, back surgery tomorrow, which is Thursday, May 24th. This will be there will be a long recuperation period, so now I'll have to say the 4 trips will be completed not in my 77th year, but in my 78th year, or in 2013. Of course, I'll try and recover fast enough to do maybe the Middle Fork trip before the summer season is over. But please say a prayer for me. I'm gonna need this if I'm gonna recover quick enough to be any good to anybody. Now on to part 3, gear, and I'll have to be quick. The photo essay that has links will have to be done later on, because I'm not going to have time to do it. Well, let's go through this very quickly. Starting off with the picture that I did like back when I did my 27-day expedition, which is like, well, you gather up everything you want to take, and you can hit the pause and see the funny stuff that I had in my pile. But then you have to start using some common sense and take only the things that you're really going to need. Here's a more recent picture of my gear, and we'll go through exactly what I'm going to be using on trips that I take this summer and next summer, and then we'll go through the food also very quickly. First we'll deal with what I call basic equipment. Number one, some backpackers call this the basic pack, which is your pack, your tent, your sleeping bag, and your sleeping pad. We'll start looking at a picture of me with on my 27-day expedition, where I had 83 pounds around my waist and on my back to begin this 236-mile expedition, as I call it, which with no resupply, and I'll mention at the very end here. That was with a very heavy-duty REI pack called the Morning Star, of course, which they don't make anymore. But now I use an REI pack, and I've used this for several years now. This is the REI Flash 65, I believe it was called. It won the Backpacker Magazine Editor's Choice Award as the best pack in 2009. But it's very versatile. You can take the top pouch off. You can take also the frame sheet out. You can reduce it at a pound in weight that way, so it only weighs 2 pounds for a short trip like the one you see I'm ready for here, like a 3-day trip without the top pouch and without the frame sheet in. Then you see me here ready for a 9-day trip with the whole with the top pouch on. I probably don't have the frame sheet in there either, but there I had about 54 pounds. Of course, 15 of it was my camera gear that you see around my waist. But now REI has an updated version of this, which is really great. There's a number of improvements that make it a much better pack. So there's the men's version and then the women's, and the men's costs $139.99 on sale right now. Regularly it's $189.99, and the women's is $10 cheaper. So if you're lucky, you can catch it on sale. But even at the higher price or the regular price, it's a good deal compared to other packs. Here you see me with another one that I've used some. It's called the Mariposa Plus, made by Gossamer Gear. Good pack, but it was for lighter loads. The suspension system wasn't quite, not near as good as the REI Flash 65 pack. You can go into the gear guide, the backpacker gear guide, online, and look up anything you might imagine. You can get links to it there. So just go to backpacker.com and you'll get anything you see anything you're interested in. The tent that I use is the same one I've used for a number of years. It's the Gossamer Gear tarp tent. They don't make this same tent anymore. They have something similar, and they do have for one individual. It's called the One. It's quite expensive. My friend Ted Packard has one, but it's very, very light. Of course, this one here only weighs about 28 ounces with the stakes and the poles, and so it's very light and very compact, and it's done a really good job. Of course, when I go late in the season when there are no mosquitoes, I just use my poncho to make a lean-to and have my bivouac bag that I slip my sleeping pad and my bag down, or my sleeping bag down in there. So here you see the tent with the my sleeping pad and the sleeping gear. I call it's a sleeping quilt. It's not a mummy bag. I hate mummy bags. Even when I had a mummy bag, I used it as a quilt by just putting my feet in it and then spreading it over the top of me, unless it was very cold, and then of course I'd zip up. But so I use a quilt, and I'll mention it in just a sec. But here you see the pads, the ones that I've used over the years. So they're all Thermarest, but you see the Neo Air on the right, which is much smaller, much lighter, and it is more comfortable. It's 2.5 inches thick, and so, but you do have to have a repair kit along. Then my sleeping bag, you can see the evolution here. There's the one that is a Marmot brand, I believe. I'm not sure, I can't remember for sure, but this is the one that I used on my 27-day expedition. And then the second summer I got a REI sub kilo, called it, only weighs 2 pounds. And then now it's the quilt, of course, that only weighs 16 ounces. And so there's the Neo Air Thermarest pad and the quilt. You can see the size with the foot-long ruler there. So here's my basic pack of all these 4 items. It weighs 6 pounds, which is pretty good. Then we go on to basic equipment number 2. This is a picture I've used on my website. It's basically the same. There has been a change in the water purification system. Now I use a Sawyer's squeeze system, and I'll say more about that in just a minute. But for the cooking and the food preparation, you can see I just use 1 pot, and then I have a whole bunch of very lightweight clear plastic bottles that don't weigh anything. You just get in your supermarket and just take the labels off and mix all these things very, very quickly, as I'll show you in a while. But they don't cost anything, they don't weigh anything. For fire making, this is what I used to promote, Strike Anywhere matches, and this fire liquid is kind of like a gel that you just squirt on your twigs, and it was great. But I haven't been able to find this brand lately. But in the middle you see pine pitch. As I go up the trail, I find a pine tree, and I get some pine pitch like this, put it in the Ziploc bag, and then I have something with which I can start a fire no matter how wet things might be. Now I use a fire paste and waterproof and windproof matches, as you see here. And you just take some of this paste and squirt it down on your twigs, and you got a fire going there in no time. It burns long enough to dry out. So if your wood's a little humid, it'll dry it out, and you'll have your little cooking fire going pretty quick. For water, I take a bucket, capsule bucket to go to the stream or the lake and get water, and then back at the camp I do the purification. And this is the Sawyer's squeeze system. You can get this through Amazon, or you can get it at REI. It costs about $60. So you just take your little filter and screw it onto these containers that have the water out of the creek, and then you it's either through gravity, your water goes through the filter, or you squeeze it to get it through faster. So no more pumping. This will be great. For rain protection, you got to have a poncho that will go over your pack and protect everything. Rainproof and waterproof or windproof jacket, and I have waterproof pants. This is a little bigger than some, but this is a variety that has zippers up the side, so I can put it on and off without taking my boots off, and also their pockets. And so this is one that I like a lot, and I've used all these years. Here you see my daughter Mahana with the poncho, and she is really enjoying it, of course. And here you see me with the rain jacket on. And you can spend a lot of money on a waterproof rain jacket, hundreds of dollars even, but this one that I use is probably around $50. But then I have on my website links to this yellow set of pants and jacket that are very, very inexpensive, very light, a little bulky, but I used them last year and they work just fine. You can go to my website, the articles like how I do a 3-day backpack, or gear and supplements, and you'll find links where you can get them. I always take along a little wind shirt that only weighs 3 ounces and is about the size of your handkerchief or your bandana. You just stick it in your back pocket, and I use it whenever there's a little wind, or if I'm stopped to rest, so I won't chill. I just slip it on. Also, it protects me from mosquitoes. No axes or hatchets. I do have my elkskin gloves that I put on to do this kind of work, but there's lots of dry wood, dead wood everywhere. You just break it over a rock, and pretty soon you've got a little fire, and it just needs to be a little tiny one, just for 10 or 15 minutes of cooking. And of course the gloves work good when you're dealing with your hot pots and whatnot too. So I like to have my elkskin gloves. For a knife, you can see the evolution of things that I've used in the past, but I've boiled it all down now to the Leatherman squirt that has the pliers, that has everything that I need. And then the next picture, you see the headlamp, and then the compass, and you see me here using the headlamp at night. You can use it for eating there, or for reading, setting up your camp, or hiking at night if you have to. These headlamps are really great. So no bulky flashlights. For compass, just a little small one. Here you see a scout leader teaching his explorers how to use the compass to orient your map and all. And so a little compass is great. For emergencies, there's a satellite phone and a spot tracker, and I promote the use of both of these. Especially, you got to have one of these in each group, and if you're going alone, this is what you must have. I've had to use my satellite phone a couple of times for other people's emergencies, and once I had to use it for my own, and so I was in contact with Russ Smith from Sky Call Satellite, who gives me the satellite phone for the summer, and here I am calling him, and he got in contact with the sheriff and then the medevac unit at the University of Utah Hospital, and pretty soon they were in there and they found my vital signs were in pretty bad shape, so they loaded me in and I got my ride out of there, but the satellite phone saved me. I also use it to call in to KSL Radio Outdoors every Saturday morning when I'm in the mountains. So you see here Tim Hughes in the studio that runs the show, along with Russ Smith. The spot tracker is an incredible little device. a lone backpacker should have one and use it every single day, and every group should have one. But you can let all of your loved ones know by hitting the OK button that you're all right. A signal is sent to the satellite, and then messages sent to each of 10 people on your list that you're all right, and they will be able to, or you can hit the 911 button if you're not all right, and they'll be on the way to help you really quick. Always have it with you on your belt if you're going to leave your pack or leave your camp. But this, when you hit the OK button, this is the message which is sent by email to 10 people on your list, and they can click on the link at the bottom there, and they'll be seeing Google Earth, which in this picture doesn't look very good, but when you zoom in it starts looking really good. And here we are looking straight down on the top of Redcastle Peak, and Redcastle Lake to the left, and East Redcastle Lake, where you can see I was camped, so they can see exactly where you are when you send that little signal. So a spot tracker is really important. Of course, it gets cool at night and sometimes in the daytime. It can get cold in the winters any time, and so I use a Permaloft jacket. It's very compressible, only weighs 12 ounces, makes a good pillow too, and it really feels great at night. I also use fisherman's gloves so that I can manage my camera or a zipper or buttons or whatever, and they do help keep your hands warm. Red bandana is crucial, can be used for all kinds of things. I'll just picture one of them here where when I injured my arm, and it was an instant bandage and tourniquet, and so red bandana, and I always carry an extra one with me. Of course, you got to have some headgear. Sun is intense in the winters, and the one I use now is waterproof. It also is insulated inside so that I can use it at night instead of having a stocking cap. You want to have memories from your trip, and so a little point and shoot camera. When I recommend a waterproof one like the one I have here, I do have a YouTube video on why you should have a waterproof camera, so you can check that out. But this year, because of the crucial nature of these trips that I want to take to finish my project, I'm going to have to take my professional equipment that weighs somewhere around 15 pounds, including the tripod, and so that's what I'm going to have to do this year, or when I can finally make trips. These last 4. A Grundig portable mini radio, shortwave, AM, FM. I always have to keep track of what's going on in the world and to entertain myself. Of course, you want to have a little information about the area you're going into, National Geographic maps, and even print out your topographical maps from the CD-ROM. And then I always take some reading materials with, and sometimes they've been, you see me here with the Uintas stretched out in front of me while I'm resting, doing a reading about the conquest of Mexico. Incredible. Fishing is a must, and the equipment that I use is seen here. It's a rod which is convertible, used for spin fishing or for fly fishing, and you don't have to take very much. I just have it in a little bag, and you catch a few fish every day for eating, and I just cook them in aluminum foil usually, and so this adds to your nutrition and makes unnecessary carrying so much food. Of course, mosquitoes are a real problem. Here they are literally driving my daughter Mahana crazy. You want to make sure and have insect repellent, and make sure that it's 98% or 100% DEET. The 30% that you can get just isn't going to do the job, I promise you. And foot gear, I picture just 2 here. These low top boots. When I moved from using high top boots that I needed to originally because I had weak ankles, to this boot, I made a terrible mistake. This has rubber on the soles, which with rain the rocks become extremely slippery. Or on the other hand, what I use now is the Salomon mountain running shoes that the rubber just grips the wet rocks, and so this you've got to have a good pair of some good foot gear. This is what I use though now. Like I said, I used to have horrible problems with my feet, but just with one insert now, I'm able to do just fine with these mountain running shoes. Of course, you got to have good socks, blister proof. And since I've been using these blister proof socks that you see on the bottom, I have never got a blister. And then a pair of good wool socks on the top. If you're going to be doing wading, I have some slippers that I take with. And then, of course, your toiletries, and you can hit the pause button if you want and see what I use. I'm not going to mention each item there, but two items pictured here, the sunblock and the insect repellent, I leave outside, and they go in my pockets for use during the day. So you just put all the rest in a Ziploc bag. And then I have quite an array of things for emergencies and for some of my needs as an old guy. And without a thyroid and with heart trouble and all this, but I take all these things for about any emergency I can imagine. I have for them. You can hit the pause and you can look at the things that I have there. I just pictured separately this toe bandage, which comes in handy if you're having trouble between some of your toes. You just cut off a piece and slip it over your toe, and all of a sudden you're just as comfortable as can be. And so you put all that in a Ziploc bag. Then I have a little tiny bag for repairs, for my sleeping pad, for my tent, and some. I have here some water purification tablets and a tube of a plastic. Surgery, they call it, and this is better than Super Bonder. And there's links to this on my website. I'm just picturing here that I had a crown come off of one of my teeth, and with this I glued it back on. And so I have that little bag, and then of course tissue paper. You got to make sure and have enough. I've had to cut trips short because I run out. One time I didn't have any at all, and I had to use snow and whatnot. Well, we won't get into that. I always take along a few bags, especially when I get into the colder part of the year. Some of these chemical bags that warm up. And once they saved me actually from hyperthermia when my body could not heat itself anymore. For food, I only picture one thing here, the D cereal, a great cereal, and I do all this food preparation at home, having everything that I'm going to need for every meal in bags, everything mixed up. And so you see there for a 3-day trip, and then in this next picture it's for probably about a 6-day trip. All put in an oven bag, which I use to hold everything together, and use all these shaker bottles to mix things up. There's on the left my D cereal, and then there's something in the pot. It's probably soaking, my macaroni, whatever. And there's eggnog, and there's a chocolate pudding. There's the calcium magnesium that I'm going to probably take at night, and then there's another eggnog mixed up I see there. And there's my recovery drink. And in this next picture, you can see names of some of the things that are in those bottles. But I always have plenty of them. They don't weigh anything. They don't cost anything. But here's one example. There's my macaroni, whatever, it's all cooked already, ready to go. At the same time, while I was cooking, I cooked up or mixed up my chocolate pudding. I have an eggnog. And then I have some wheat thins, and there's probably some cheese in there too. So that's a meal for me. And if that's not enough, you cook up a fish. If you're at the right time in the right place where there are dandelions, don't look down on them. That is one of the most nutritious plants on the face of the earth. And I take the leaves and the flowers and cut them up and put them in my soup to increase the nutrition. My vitamins and minerals and supplements, and I have them all organized in bags so that what I'm going to need in the morning, what I'm going to need during the day, what I'm going to need in the evening, it's all there for use. Everything in order. Here you see my 27-day expedition. I'll just finish by showing pictures of what I did. This was a no resupply trip for 27 days, and here you see all the food that I had laid out on the table, and then I started making meal by meal by meal and so on. In this next picture you see 27 days of food, which weighed 30 pounds, about 1.1 pounds per day. And this, of course, was a no resupply thing, and so all of that went into my pack for that long trip. Well, that's about it. I'm sorry I took as long as I did. We could take a lot longer, but I sure hope and pray that you'll have got some good pointers from my experience, and that your backpack trips this upcoming year will be good ones. And remember to say a prayer for me, so that I'll be able to get my back on my back too, and get up there in the high Uintas or in the Wind Rivers or wherever, just as soon as possible. For more information, of course, go to my website. There you can find photo essays with information and links on articles like 3-day backpack, gear and supplements. There's another one, lightweight backpacking, and so you can get a lot of good ideas from those articles, or what I call photo essays. So I wish you luck, and I'd really appreciate hearing from any of you about your experiences. If you send me a few pictures and a good little story to tell, I'll put it on my website. And so I hope to hear from some of you, and I hope that you will all be hearing from me soon. So thanks for listening, and I wish you luck in your summer adventures.